Johnny Bench, Cincinnati Reds Hall of Famer, the greatest catcher ever, and, of course, Pete's former teammate. We'll get to that in a moment, Johnny. Last night's home run derby. What'd you think?
Gosh, I thought it was the greatest. I mean, I really did. I get so tired of guys, stepping out of the box, readjusting their gloves, doing that, getting the towel over there, making sure the sponsors, all the guys are agents, say, make sure you pull out this and drink this and then wipe your hand with this and then take a breath and then wave at the crowd and then your family comes out. I thought it was just, time clock was perfect. It absolutely was perfect. And, had we seen it differently last night, had the rules been the same, then Albert Pujols probably would have had to take that batting glove off and got a new one. And because he was on a roll as well. But I thought it was the most exciting thing they've done in baseball in a long time. I really did. I mean, and, of course, our hometown boy was able to win. But everything was drama, and we saw some long home runs. We got to see some of the future of baseball. We got to see the young guys, and we still got to see Albert Pujols at his age still drilling out home runs.
I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I like that Albert was in it because normally you don't get the older player, the future Hall of Famer. It's more, and I do like we showcase the younger players. I thought it was pretty cool that Pujols was in it with some of the younger players in the game.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anything that replaces, and first of all, the fact that he's made the comeback from, really not being Albert Pujols the last couple of years to regaining the form that he has. And, would I have liked to see Mike Trout? Absolutely. Would I have liked to see Bryce Harper? Everybody wanted to see that. But, we really got to showcase some guys that are right there on the precipice of being their greatness. And at least whether they're great or not, they're the exciting part of what baseball and the thing that should be focused on is these young guys and not the things that are outside of it.
If I gave you the first pick for a home run derby fantasy draft, all time.
Wow. There's something interesting. Well, after watching Josh Hamilton that one year, it'd be hard not to take him. I was taking pictures with Todd Frazier yesterday before the game at the Fan Fest, and he said, "Were you ever in home run derby?" And I said, "Every batting practice was home run derby. We used to stand in Wrigley Field and try to break the windows across the street, and we actually did." So, these guys are up there working on their stroke, staying inside the ball, going to right field, doing all that stuff. We were trying to, fill up the street out there and get the home runs done. It was a whole different approach to us, but.
Well, do you remember, you were there, I believe, when Willie Stargell hit one of the longest home runs ever? Were the Pirates playing the Reds that day? Does that sound familiar?
They were. Yeah, I mean, it was.
And he went upper deck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and when he crossed home plate, he just kind of raised his eyebrows at me. We had a great relationship. He just kind of, whoa, that was pretty impressive. And Bernie Carbo hit one in the dome that I've never seen anything like it in the Astrodome. He hit one in the upper deck, and we saw Reggie's home run in the All-Star game. I hit one in that same All-Star game that wasn't even on camera because it went in the upper deck. But we've all had those moments where we really just caught one really good.
Well, Reggie's would have gone out.
I would probably take Mark McGwire, in a home run.
Reggie's would have gone out of Tiger Stadium if it didn't hit the light pole when he homered off Doc Ellis, right?
I had a good view of it. I called it.
Did Doc Ellis get mad at you because you called the pitch?
No, Doc was just out there probably having just a good time. I mean, he was cool with what it was. And the amazing thing, I think there were like 30 Hall of Famers in that game. You could check the numbers, but there were like, you had the Aarons and the Kalines and the Mays and all those in there. It was, and Brooks and, I hit the first ball I hit goes right down the third base, and here comes Brooks kicking it again. And this is right after the World. I just threw up my hands. I said, you know what? I can't get anything by you. But there were like 30 Hall of Famers in that game or more out of the 50 that were available, I guess, and maybe higher. But it was just an incredible time, and All-Star games were so cool. I mean, my first All-Star game was '68. I was 20 years old. I was picked on as an additional catcher. I'm sitting in my locker. I don't want to go out. I don't want to move because I don't want to spike Mays or Aaron or anybody else in there. I'm just right there in my locker. And Willie Mays is sitting across from me, and he walks across the locker room and says, "You should have been the starting catcher," and walked back. And so my All-Star game was made. There wasn't anything. I got to catch the ninth inning, and I got to play in the one I was in Washington the next year.
That's pretty cool. Talking to Johnny Bench, the Hall of Famer, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. What do we expect tonight? What kind of reception for Pete?
Oh, it'll be good. Yeah, it'll be interesting because, we were on the field last year with Joe Morgan's statue. So, I mean, it was a tremendous reception, and everybody still, he's hometown. Everybody still loves Pete. I mean, you can't help but love Pete. I mean, you can't help but like him. He's one of the greatest competitors I've ever seen, with determination and had high goals. I loved it for it because he got on base. I got to drive him in. He said, you can hit 300. I said, yeah, Pete, I can. I said, you hit 300, get your 200 hits. I'll drive you 100 times. We'll all have a wonderful time. And so nobody's going to, whatever's past is past. It's dredged up again, of course, now with the new commissioner. And the commissioner's addressed it, and he said he's going to look at everything around him and make a decision based on that. And he's giving it a fair, honest evaluation. But I think he's trying to deflect it away from what is happening here, because everybody's trying to make a big deal of them trying to meet while they're here and everything else. And I don't think that'll happen. It'll happen in a venue outside of here. And, people will be able to present his case. The commissioner will have everything that can possibly be seen and done within every record boxes of stuff. And it'll be something that, they'll have to base that on.
But do you know something, that there is a meeting that's in place between Pete and the commissioner?
No, I just happened to hear the commissioner talk this morning, saying that he's still looking through stuff and everything else. And now, we are in the middle of one of the midsummer classics that right now for this town is just, they've thrown out everything. They put on their best Sunday clothes. They're dressing it up. They're doing everything they possibly can to make this the most thing, and it'll be focused on the young people and the young players and the all-stars. And to take away from that, I think the commissioner certainly wants to deflect that away and say, you know what, I will do this, but it's not going to happen right now. Will they shake hands? Will they be together? Probably so. But at that time, say, when can we meet? And it says, well, you call my secretary and we'll set up an appointment. But it's not going to be quite like that. But there will be a time that, this commissioner wants to be fair about it. He wants to do it. He knows he has to address it. And as a result, he's going to have everything before him. He's going to be prepared for whatever Pete wants to say, the contrition that he may have, everything about it, and then he'll have to make a judgment call on that. But you have to remember, there's 11 guys on the suspension list.
Yep.
So this is something that if we're going to say that, then he'll have to address all 11. I'm sure he's looked at that, but feeling.
Yeah, you know how I feel about the Reds and watching you guys growing up, and of course Pete Rose, and it's a lifetime ban, Johnny, and I just don't think the commissioner can go back on this, because what is he saying to the previous commissioners? I think they're worried there's more to the story with Pete Rose, that he lied for so long. Oh, he only gambled as a Reds manager. Oh, he only bet on the Reds. Now we're finding he bet as a player. Did he bet against the Reds? I don't know that. So Pete's a Hall of Famer, but he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. That's how I feel.
Well, I mean, if you don't bet on him every night, then that's just the difference of did he bet on only the Reds to win? But if he didn't bet on them every night, then it turns that around. And the thing, we it's been 26 years, so it's my Hall of Fame year. So I probably a little, I've had to answer this for 26 years, and here we are talking about, instead of talking about Zach Greinke and the great story about him and his personality and the fact that Ketchel's going to pitch tonight, and we're going to see some great players. That is, we're not highlighting. When you come into town and the paper, is talking about, again, the Pete Rose and the commissioner, rather than about Todd Frazier and Aroldis Chapman and really the honor that has been bestowed upon them. And I just hope that, one way or the other. My teacher in the 8th grade, Francis Tate, said, "You make your own bed, you got to sleep in it." And I still remember that to my day.
Did you ever get close to fighting Pete when you played?
Oh, no. No, we never. I mean, we never. We were in business together. We still hug each other every time we see each other. You cannot help but like Pete. He's got the personality to make you want to do that, and he's funny. He can be as charming as any human being, as we all can be sometimes.
Yeah.
And there are some times when you can do it. Not once did we ever have, I don't think, even a negative word together. And to this day, several years ago, he apologized to me for, making my year so difficult in my induction year. And he meant it. And he apologized. I was proud of him. And, and as I stated this morning, I said, just show you're sorry. I mean, do something to prove to everybody. And even then, the rule states it's a lifetime suspension. And, everybody still, puts him on a pedestal as because of the greatness that he had during the game. And, the appreciation for all of that is always going to be there. So if you're a Hall of Famer in all these fans' minds, really, I mean, that goes a long way for him.
I did bring this up yesterday, and people were surprised. I said of all the great hitters out of the 70s and every great Hall of Famer that was on the Reds team, if there was one guy I wanted at the plate with the game on the line and the winning run in scoring position, it was not you. It was not Pete. It was not Joe. It was not Foster. It was Tony Perez.
You're going to say Perez.
Yes. Right?
Of course, we all wanted him there.
Yes.
We all wanted him.
And people forget how great he was, clutch and such a great guy. And he and Concepcion, I thought, got sort of lost in the shuffle a little bit there. Davey more than Tony. But, I said Perez, man, he was dangerous. And
he was the most beloved guy on our team. I cried the day he was traded. He meant so much to me and so much to our ball club. He kept it, whether it was 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, didn't matter. He was the same Tony Perez, and we still love him to this day. He's just one of my dearest personal, things in my life is Tony. And I mean, that's where it is. And I pushed for Dave Concepcion to be in the Hall of Fame. And when I go in these committee meetings, and there's guys that are saying, well, he was kind of like Larry Bowa, or he was kind of like this. And I looked at Ozzie Smith. I said, Ozzie, if you don't come into the league, Davey wins 10 Gold Gloves.
Yep.
And he was clutch. He was batting down the lineup. He drove in. And look at the RBIs and look at the stuff that he did and how he did. So, the greatness of our ball club is always there because people still remember the Ken Griffey and the George Foster and the Sage Arthur-Geronimo and the David Concepciones, and not just the four of us. So it is. It's been an amazing run for us and everything else. And, the cloud hangs over the fact of what has happened. And we try to make it work for all of us with everything else. But, once this meeting comes to it, we'll put an end to it. People still, want it the other way. It's just the nature of what we are.
Great talk to you. Have fun tonight. And, it should be.
Can I mention that I've got an auction going on of some of my stuff, and a lot of the money is going to go to the Johnny Bench Scholarship Fund. It's the Hunt auction, and you can go in. It's going on right now. Hunt auction. Go to the website. But we had a thing dinner the other night and raised about $40,000 for my scholarship fund. So we've got 84 kids on scholarship, and I'd like to have more money in the coffers for my kids to go to college.
So it's HUNT Hunt Auctions.
Yeah, and the kids in Binger too would appreciate it because my hometown, even though there's only graduating class of 22 or 3, we at least get 1 or 2 out of those to go to college.
Great to talk to you, Johnny.
My pleasure always, Dan.
All right, it's Johnny Bench, Reds Hall of Fame catcher.